So Fallout 76 got its first update following the initial release of this game. This is going to be a big update for Bethesda for the game. A lot of people have their eyes on this one because of the very buggy state we find the game in right now. They gave a little bit of a prelude to this update a couple of days ago. I made a video on that. I'll touch back on it in this video. But more or less, if you're on PC, you should have downloaded something around 15 gigabytes in size. If you're on Xbox One or PS4, it was probably roughly 40 to 45 gigabytes. Now, a super important disclaimer that a lot of people don't really know or understand about these updates: you downloaded 45 gigabytes of stuff, but not really. You re-downloaded a ton of stuff. So more or less the way Bethesda updates their games, let's say you downloaded 45 gigabytes. A lot of that is just re-downloading a file you mostly had. Let's say the texture file for Fallout 76 is 6 gigabytes in size, and Bethesda makes a few changes to that file, totaling 300 megabytes in size. Well, you are re-downloading that entire 6 gigabyte file, even if the changes only are 300 megabytes. So in the end, your game size may increase by a gigabyte or two depending on how many changes were made, but in reality, when you're downloading 45 gigabytes, a large majority of that is just re-downloading content you already have on your hard drive. Yes, this is extremely frustrating for those of you with slow or limited download speeds, especially so, but Bethesda has mentioned that future patches shouldn't be as big as this one. But with that out of the way, what was actually added in this patch? So off the bat, one of the first things they do mention is that performance has been improved along with stability. They honestly don't give many specifics here at all. But for example, one thing that I know I was having issues with is actually looting. A lot of times when I was looting, I would get a fairly long load screen. Like it wasn't just 1 or 2 seconds, but like 3 or 4 seconds. And it seems like with this update, that has largely gone away. Looting seems to be almost instant now. Things will populate immediately. But outside of that, I honestly wasn't having any issues running the game at Ultra anyway, so I'm probably not the best person to ask about performance issues. We'll have to see if this affects anything on PS4, who is particularly having some issues with this game. And to be clear with this, I'm not going to go over every single patch note they do add in this. I'm just going to go over some of the bigger ones, but feel free to read it. I'll have a link to this down below. One thing that I'm actually kind of bummed out to see disappear is the Ambient Occlusion glitch. So basically when you would pick up an item, it would leave a little bit of an outline there for a couple of seconds. It almost made it look like, oh, the bombs dropped, all this soot got put everywhere, and it left an outline on that object wherever it was. But no, in reality, it was just a visual error, and it has since been resolved. So now as you pick up items, that little outline will no longer be left there. It said the game camera pans more smoothly when entering furniture. I didn't really notice an issue here. I went into a bunch of different pieces of furniture, and I guess it's okay. It's not particularly good, but when getting in and out of beds, it still takes what seems like forever for a multiplayer game with PvP. Enemies will no longer chase you for nearly as long as they did previously. This is actually something I encountered where I had this one Assaultron chasing me forever, and I would keep respawning and it would just follow me, and I basically couldn't get away because it was faster than me and did a lot of damage. But then even beyond that, the glitch where scorched officers or ghouls weren't dropping appropriate loot, such as a new code, has been resolved. It seems like blueprints were fixed. A lot of people are having issues with their camp. When they would place it down, it would come out in a bunch of broken pieces and not in one static state as they saved it. I haven't built anything with my camp, so I couldn't personally test this, but talking to other people, they were able to place their camp largely with success and in one piece. The token dispenser that was previously unrepairable as part of one quest has been fixed and now actually works, so you can do that quest. Several fixes were posted in the PvP area. One of the really notable ones was actually if you're a wanted player, die and then respawn, you'll now successfully lose your wanted status. I saw this happen to people where they would be wanted, continuously die or get hunted down, and the status wouldn't go away. So they're in basically a perpetual state of being wanted, and obviously that's pretty bad because it allows any other player on the server to just engage in PvP with you. Fortunately, it seems like that was fixed, but outside of that, not many of the other ones were really major. Just some visual changes like caps not showing correctly. There's some issues with the friends list where basically adding other players wouldn't show up, or if two people invited each other, they wouldn't see either person's invite. Apparently some of those were fixed. I've been having issues with just an inability to add friends, but also they resolved some of those issues with photo mode. Some people are remapping the photo mode key and then it conflict with other keys. So what they did as a fix of this is actually just make it so you can no longer remap the photo mode key. Was that really a solution? Now the fact that photo mode is just locked onto one singular key all the time, even on PC. And yeah, that's actually it. That's pretty much all the changes in here. Again, some of these smaller ones I didn't go over, but if you look at the patch notes themselves, there's like 20 or so explicitly named bugs, and then outside of that, you do have just general performance and stability improvements. but I don't personally think this is a good look. The last time Fallout 76 got a patch was 2 weeks ago. We didn't really get much of a day one patch, and we certainly didn't get any day one patch notes, and seemingly this was the big patch. As I showed you guys before, Bethesda literally said this would be a bigger patch than a lot of the other ones. Yet it really doesn't feel like much has been fixed. As I was actually filming some of the footage to show you in the background of this video, I encountered multiple bugs. It's not like those were specific use cases, those were just bugs I encountered in natural play while walking from one point to another. So actually, as I was just wrapping up editing this video, some more news came out around this. Apparently these patch notes aren't totally comprehensive. The FPS cap for Fallout 76 was removed. This of course is only for PC users, but now you could actually run the game at 100 plus FPS, and there's not going to be any speed hacks or anything like that. It seems rather odd that this wasn't mentioned, because I imagine it would make a lot of people happy, but Bethesda has seemingly been doing a number of these kind of secret updates over the past few weeks, and I don't know why they're not talking about them. So now, to play devil's advocate, to not just immediately jump to criticizing Bethesda, this could be one of those patches that actually lays down the foundation for easier fixes in the future. A few people have said that could be the reason this patch is going to be significantly larger. It is affecting more files in different places, and then of course you have to re-download the whole archive, but it's affecting a bunch of archives to lay down the foundation for easier patching going forward, so the patches will be smaller, but also fix things more quickly. But then on the other side of things, what? Like, it actually blows my mind that this is the patch we got. If you look at Fallout 76 right now, even if you're a fan of it, it without a doubt has a bugginess problem. As I mentioned, just filming this video, I encountered so many different bugs. Bethesda does not want that narrative to exist. It's one thing to critique this game for the actual decisions in it, like some of the NPCs, the story decisions, things like that. But the fact that people are critiquing it for the bugginess of it is an issue that is 100% fixable. I think a lot of people are going to be looking at this first patch. The game right now is very buggy. The first patch could be a big improvement on that. And yet this does not instill confidence in me. I don't think it should instill confidence in you. The rate at which Bethesda is fixing these bugs is not quick, to put it simply. Like, at the rate they're going right now, what is it? Maybe by 2019 we'll have the game in a state that would be appropriate for an initial release? But even that might be an overestimation of their abilities, because again, it's been 2 weeks, 14 days, and this is what we got. Although I think I might have somewhat of an explanation for this. Behind the scenes, Bethesda has opened up several new studios in the past year. We know the main people behind the multiplayer in Fallout are Bethesda Game Studios Austin. Basically, Fallout 4 came out, Bethesda Game Studios Maryland, the core studio that actually made Fallout 4 and Skyrim, switched focus onto Starfield. They were waiting for Bethesda Game Studios Austin to actually get multiplayer working in the Fallout engine. Once they got multiplayer working, everybody switched focus back onto Fallout 76, and thus we got the game we have right now. So what I'm thinking is, what if internally, Bethesda Game Studios Maryland, the largest of the studios, was only really supposed to, or internally going to work on Fallout 76 until its release date. Following release, it was left up to Bethesda Game Studios Austin, so behind the scenes right now, perhaps you do have this relatively small studio trying to fix all of these bugs that are still present in this game, while the main studio with the big chunk of the developers have shifted focus over to Starfield. Now that's pure speculation, I have no idea what's actually going on, but I think it makes a lot of sense based off what we're seeing. The way I personally look at it, Bethesda had a lot of eyes on them with these patch notes. People wanted to see the direction of this game, how quickly it would be fixed. And based off of reading them, I think they really dropped the ball. Maybe they are laying the foundation to make quicker fixes in the future, but say that. That seems like a pretty integral part of this patch that should be mentioned if true, and if it's not true, that's even more concerning. But outside of that, we actually do have a bit more. With this update, there was a few new things added into the Atomic Shop. They're not actually live or public just yet, but they're in the files of the game, so they'll probably be coming out in the next couple of weeks. Nothing in there is particularly cool, but I know a lot of you guys really do enjoy these leaks, so I'm going to have them on screen right now. And just in general, as a full disclaimer, there's a lot of stuff within the files for the Atomic Shop that isn't public yet, so it seems like they have a lot of content waiting and ready to go live. But let's end things off with a more peaceful note and today's psychology fun fact of the day, and that's going to be on social facilitation. So here's a little thing to start things off. You do have a group of people with a certain set of beliefs. Let's say they have a discussion, they actually share their thoughts and opinions about a certain thing. Do you think they get a more moderate view or they get a more extreme view of that thing? Well, what studies have found is most of the time people tend to get a more extreme view of the view they already hold when discussing it in a group, or at least in a group that is relevant to the topic at hand. So for example, let's say it's a bunch of people talking about Fallout 76 76 and the latest update. Maybe already the majority doesn't particularly love the game, they're pretty disappointed in its current state. That group discussion tends to lead to those groups having more extreme feelings at not liking the game. I feel like it's almost counterintuitive. You would assume a group leads to more of the median, more to a moderate view. But in reality, the reason for this is a lot of times when you talk to other people in a group that are probably fairly similar to you, you actually get new perspectives or even new evidence as to why to not like Fallout 76. Maybe one person will talk about a bug you had never heard about, and then you'll be like, oh yeah, that makes the game sound even worse. But either way, that's pretty much going to wrap it up for this one. As always, again, I thank you guys for watching. Hopefully you did enjoy. But with that, I hope to see you guys all next time. Later.